Hi there everyone, today we're starting off a new series for the channel called Stellaris, that's the game at least, and we're going to be playing as the People's Liberatory Worlds, who are very democratic crusaders. We are fighting for the equal rights of everyone, and yeah, these are our species, the Piscus. They are resilient, very strong, intelligent. However, they do have a psychological infertility and are unruly. We are starting off as a prosperous unification, which if you want to read all the bonuses that gives, you can read it now. And we are starting off as a democratic citizen service with a parliamentary system. If you want to read the bonuses of both, you can do that now. And we are also fanatic egalitarians and militarists. And the settings that we're going to be playing with in this series are all currently on the screen. If you would like to pause the video at any point to look at any of them, you can. Anyway, yeah, let's get to it. And here we are, starting off in what appears to be the middle of the, middle of the left, no, that's right. Middle of the right arm of this galaxy. So yeah. We have the origin of prosperous unification. In the eons since the first primitive Piscus communities took shape on the windy plains of Diber, our civilization has spread and prospered. Many wars were fought between our early nation states, and those who couldn't defend themselves disappeared or were absorbed by stronger neighbors. These endless wars fostered a strong martial tradition, and to this day, full citizenship is reserved for those who have proved willing to sacrifice themselves in defense of the state. Now, after the discovery of the Hyperlane network, the finest minds of the People's Liberatory Worlds have finished development of the very first hyperdrives. The stars themselves are finally within our grasp. So let's begin. We start off with 3 fleets, technically 5 ships. We have our ships here, our military ships, which are under the command of our commander, however you say that name. I'm not going to try butcher it. And we're just going to increase the ships in their potential fleet, and that is currently what their ships look like. They have fission reactors, a hyperdrive 1, chemical thrusters, a radar system, a basic combat computer, 2 small mass drivers, and a nuclear missile, as well as 2 small deflectors and a small nanocomposite armor. And then we also have a science ship here, which if we rotate the camera, we can see right here. And this is under the command of our head researcher, Ludamok. I think that's how you pronounce it. And we can just set them to auto-explore. And the first thing they're going to explore is this planet over here in Sostra. And then we have our construction ship here as well, which sadly is hiding itself inside of the starbase. However, if we set it to construct, we don't actually have the minerals to do that. This right here is minerals. You use it to construct things on planets and in space. While this is food, you really only need it to feed your people. And then this is our money/energy. It's our main way of trading for different things with the market and aliens. And we can unpause the game. With more things appearing, I'll explain what they are. And this is our homeworld. Oh, I forgot to do something very important here. That is our research. Out of these 3 options, always select the tech, because the more technology you get earlier on, the easier it is going to be for you to snowball out of control. Anyway, so this is our home world right here, which then goes on to our factions. Factions have been founded. The Full Enfranchisement Foundation and the Veterans for Victory movement. Picture these as your political parties. And here is the council, or just our ministers, if you will. So before I continue to explain the council here, we have found alien life on Soster 2. The discovery of alien life. The PLSC Lorod Clada has made a startling find on Soster 2. The planet is teeming with alien life. For the first time in history, we have encountered life forms that did not originate on Daiba. This amazing discovery has silenced those who believed we were alone in the universe. Although none of the alien creatures found on Soster 2 are sapient, it is likely only a matter of time before we encounter beings that are. We may not be alone out here, which we know that we aren't because it is a game. So yeah, I'll see you when something else occurs, which just happened. Contact report simple forms of life. And from this you can gather that you do get a different version of events depending on what you find. For example, if you find an actual alien empire first, you will get sapient aliens, to which your empire will basically go into full crazy territory, is the best way to describe it. It is kind of along the same lines for each report, so if you want to read it you can, but I will just be skipping over a lot of the small events in this game. First contact protocols. Our recent encounter with alien lifeforms has reignited and made suddenly more urgent the old debate on how we should approach contacting any potential intelligent civilizations we may meet. While some advocate focusing on establishing friendly relations as quickly as possible by contacting them with a message of peace, others advise caution, pointing out that we cannot know whether alien minds bear ill intent towards us, and that if it would be unwise to let them know too much about us before it is necessary. A third, more radical group pushes for preemptive action against them. With the security of all Pithcases at risk, they say, we dare not hesitate to take whatever measures necessary to gain the upper hand against any potential Xeno threat. These are our three options. We shall greet the Xeno with open arms, which is the roleplay option for our empire here. It would be wise to be cautious, which would be it wouldn't be on par with doing a roleplay route. However, it is what the Empire could also choose. And then there's the radical group here saying that we must ward off those who would threaten us. That group is to be not listened to, and we're going to greet the Xeno with open arms. And here is our first tradition. We can select them by pressing select on any of these, and it's different options for our empire to start the tradition trees with. Normally you will want to start with either prosperity, expansion, or discovery. Normally I go discovery then aptitude because they mesh well together. And that is what we're going to also be doing in today's series. Now, let's do a small amount of work on our capital. So we have a couple resources at the top here which we can use on improving our planets. We have energy, which can be used to just maintain everything that requires power and such. We have minerals, which can be used to build things in space or on planets that aren't ships. We have food, which is used for maintaining our people, because they need to eat, as you can see here. We have consumer goods, which can be used in either keeping people like in their actual jobs, like normal, fine, or can be used as their job increase. Basically, say for example you are a scientist and you require an extra amount of stuff to actually be a scientist. You will likely be getting that stuff, say for example Bunsen burners or microscopes. And then we have alloys. These are basically military resources. Think like weapons and like things that can be used to make warships. And then we have influence, which is something that we use to expand the empire and other things like that. We have unity up here, which is used for our traditions. We have research, which makes us go through the tech tree. And then rare resources, which I will explain at a later point when we get any. So yeah, I'll see you when we expand to Soster 2 or get another interesting event. And here's another interesting event. The Habitable World Survey. Habitable World Survey. We now know without a doubt that thriving biosphere is not something unique to Daiba. Both the scientific community and the public at large are eager to learn more about the various forms of alien life throughout the galaxy. Found throughout the galaxy, my bad. Our efforts to catalogue the alien life forms we encounter are already underway, but our xenobiologists have urged us to focus our planetary survey efforts on habitable, life-bearing worlds. A commendable initiative, which begins the entire initiative, or we have more important matters to focus on. The better option here is commendable initiative,
Construction
to which I will
complete.
just see when something happens. And actually, here's something right now. Another tradition point able to be grabbed. We can either get the science division or the boldly go, which is actually a
Log updated.
if we can ignore this for one moment. This is actually a Star Trek reference, which you can find just by looking at its name. But normally you'd want to try to rush down to here because it's research subsidies, which allows your scientists to work at an increased rate. However, I'm going to try to get down to faith in science, which requires us to get science division first. You will get through the entire chain eventually. However, I'm going to go down faith in science first. And here's the second thing here. Mass extinction. Our first stumbling steps into the void beyond Daiba were not motivated solely by curiosity, or a desire to conquer the unknown, or a need to leave our mark on the galaxy. The biosphere of Daiba has undergone rapid changes in the past few centuries, and prominent scientists warn that Daiba may be faced with the beginnings of a mass extinction event. That cyclical purging of life that is inseparable from planetary existence in the greater cosmos. A research plan has been put together to study a number of planets rendered uninhabitable by major astronomical incidents or planet-bound catastrophes. We hope that by reconstructing these events, that a similar fate may be avoided for Daiba and the Pithcus race. It falls to you as Prime Minister of the People's Liberatory Worlds to ensure that this expedition is carried out. And we're basically told to consult this right here, the situation log, for a Pithcan future, which begins the mass extinction through the ages event chain.
Log updated.
So now we need to find all 5 of these planets, which aren't actually that far away. So we're going to pause time, go to our station here, which is our shipyard, and to go from here to here, you can just click them normally or press the hotkeys, which in this case would be V. And we're just going to build an extra science ship and an extra construction ship. And here's our council agenda being finished. It is the Infinite Opportunities agenda, which is what you start off the game with. And the next thing we're going to want to do is expand the council, which increases our council's ability to actually do agendas. So yeah, I'll just see when we've got Sostra taken. And we have found one of the mass extinction planets, the Desolate Planet. A planet in this system still wears the fossilized traces of a past ecology on its sleeve. What could turn a thriving biosphere into a blasted wasteland? A special project has been issued to trace the source of this disastrous transformation. To which we're just going to get that done first. Mass Extinction Barren. Life on the now barren planet was sadly doomed from the start. As if by some cruel stellar conspiracy, the dominant species on the planet barely had time to awaken to sapience and invent agriculture, before, through unfortunate geological mechanisms, the Earth started turning sour. Sours from low soil strata and the fossilized remains of the creatures that once roamed the planet show that several vital minerals needed to rejuvenate the soil ended up through their largely agricultural diet in the endoskeletons of the native beings. Their bones were prone to fossilize rather than decay, and their very existence exhausted the fragile ecosystem they inhabited, leaving it permanently transformed in the wake of their passing. Which is somewhat saddening for the species that once called Liberatory 6 home. And you will notice that this game uses Roman numerals for planets in systems, apart from asteroids, because apparently screw asteroids. And something else important, and yes, I will be saying important things all throughout this video until I no longer need to say important things, is a level up. For our head of research, I'm still not going to try pronounce this person's name, because I don't really think I pronounced it correctly the other time. We're going to get them the Spark of Genius trait, which increases our research speed because they're one of our counselors. They are currently on the council. And currently we're going to colonize Sostra, so let's name it the only viable thing possible. After much thought process, we're naming it Tartan. Why? Because it's the first thing that came into my head. I have no reasoning beyond that. And now we're going to be changing what our ships... Oh no, that should actually be there, like such.
Anomaly detected.
And an anomaly. You will just notice me skip over anomalies. If you want to read them, you can. But I will always hit research on them unless they take a large amount of time. Now, this interceptor here for our corvette, this is what you will normally want to start off with because it has all 3 types of weapons in the early game. Late game you can spec into whatever weapon choice you want, but for now it's just all we need. So yeah, I'll see you when we have colonized Sostra 2. And we have found our precursor, the best of all of them. It is the Cyberix. We have recovered artifacts from an ancient alien civilization on Lesath 1. Incredibly, this civilization, which apparently referred to itself as the Cyberix, seems to have been made up of machines that were linked together in some sort of collective consciousness. The age of the artifacts indicate that they were active some 600,000 years ago, which is not that far away, galactically speaking. In this portion of the galaxy at least. But we have learned nothing of their exact origins. According to a partial data fragment that our scientists managed to extract from one of the artifacts, the Cyberx at some point launched a crusade to destroy all sapient organic life in the galaxy for some unknown reasons. Interesting. So we begin the Cyberx event chain, which basically means that we will start finding extremely difficult and tough anomalies in the entire galaxy. So yeah, I shall see you all in a moment when Sostra 2 has been colonized. And here, Sostra 2, aka Tartan, has been colonized. The first Pithcus colony. A colony ship has gently touched down on the wide, empty steppe of Tartan. The chosen landing site lies behind a large ridge which shelters it from the cold wind, and there is an open body of fresh water not far away. The ship has been permanently converted into the administrative headquarters of the new settlement, and its reactor core is in the process of being removed so that it may serve as the colony's temporary power source. Hundreds of small tents and prefab shelters have sprung up around the former starship's massive hull as colonists begin to disembark in large numbers. The first Pithcus city on an alien world. A great day for the People's Liberatory worlds, which gives us, surprisingly, engineering. Colonies, aka just planets, as you can see to what we're doing on our homeworld, you can build things on that improve your entire economy. For instance, there's me, making another city district, which gives us an extra building slot. I could also remove it from the queue as such, but we actually want to have that building slot on there. And here's our first bit of research being finished. It is the nanomechanics, which is our engineering research from researchers. And we are faced with 4 extra options of research. And I'm pretty sure at least one of these was in the previous version of research, which is very common as it's a massive research tree. You're going to be seeing some research repeated. I think the best out of all of these for the early game would be that planetary build speed bonus.
Colony
And
founded.
here's the founding of Tartan in the Sostra system. What I'm going to do with this colony is do a industrial district. Actually, I'm going to do a couple industrial districts. And this shall be our industry world. At least shall be a industry world.
Construction
And
complete.
for some reason you're going there, that is a bad idea. How about you go to there? Because we already have a science ship down here that is going to be finishing its anomaly shortly. And the anomaly was Edict Monolithic. Depending on our 2 choices here, this one gets us, what's the name? Engineering research, and the other one gets us a new faction. The new faction being of xenophiles, aka screw the xenotype. Not just like burn them with holy flames. I'm meaning the how do I put this simply? The screw the xenotype. Which is why we're going to do Imagine Them for the archives. And we have found a terraforming candidate. Basically, this colony right here, you can read this if you want, but this planet here can be turned into a colony later on in the game when we get terraforming technology, as you can see here. We just need terrestrial sculpting and also the climate restoration technology, which are 2 different things, but only one of them will allow us to actually terraform inhospitable planets. So yeah, I'll just see you when
Construction
another interesting
complete.
thing occurs, I guess. And here is, if we can ignore this for one moment, the final tradition in our discovery tree. If you want to read this, you can. However, we can now unlock our first Ascension perk. And these are all of the options. I will hover over all of them if you want to read what they do currently. There's many in the game, and currently out of all the unlockable ones, the one that I go for is this technological ascendancy, because anything you can do to get more research speed, you really want to do it, such as getting a level up to the Spark of Genius trait. So yeah, I'll just see you when we get another colony down here. And here's actually two very fun things. If you want to read this one, you can. But we have recently found, I did not know you could do that by clicking that, but we have recently found some migrating forests on Tartan. If you would like to read this thing, you can. However, we do need to find a solution. So we're going to study the migrating forest, because that is the better out of these two options, even though it does require a lot more research, to which I'll show you the results when it occurs. And we have an election up. So our most likely person to be elected next will be our current Prime Minister, and you can notice that our current Minister of Defense can level up. With democratic rulers / democratic elections, you don't actually get to choose anything. Your only option is to increase support of the candidate that you want, and the support here will be increased or decreased depending on who you've supported. So yeah, we'll just see what happens in the election. And here's the result of the mass extinction frozen event. An unnatural shift in the atmosphere's chemical makeup resulted in the slow but irreversible onset of an ice age, one that began before the formation of the People's Liberatory Worlds and is likely to persist long after our passing. The exact cause remains unknown, but probable explanations include failed terraforming attempts or even intraplanetary terrorism. Some of the more radical elements within the scientific community on Daiba suggest that the dramatic climate shift may have been brought on by the unchecked emissions of gaseous industrial byproducts into the atmosphere. This view is confined to the scientific fringe, as it is unlikely that any race intelligent enough to achieve full industrialization would be stupid enough to accidentally wipe themselves out. Now, the amount of attempts there is not funny. And no, I'm not dyslexic. Somehow. But yeah, our election is still raging, and we shall get the results
complete.
very, very shortly. And the results is that we have re-elected our former Prime Minister as the new Prime Minister. As you can see currently, it is the same person. Same name, same previous position, same ethic. It's the same person. And we can always look at the election overview. We can always look at the election overview in the government screen there to see who is more likely to win the next election, which currently is the current Prime Minister. Because they're just, the one who is classified as ruler, and thus gets a bigger percentage chance to actually be elected. So we just got a event which increased our unity, so we can now select the aptitude tradition tree here as our next choice. to which, if you can see,
Anomaly detected.
and there is our first sign of precursor activity, actually. As you can see, it is very, very difficult. It is a level 8 anomaly, and will take us a decent amount of time. For now, we shall leave it be.
Complete.
And here is one reference to pretty much every single Paradox game: a comet sighted. However, this time, instead of pretty much every other instead of every other Paradox game, it's actually a good thing. It's surprisingly. I know, very hard to believe. Also, every single episode of this series will only be going every 15 years, which means that, which is better? We'll go Speaker of the Parliament, because then we can actually go a lot more into officials, something that I have been neglecting in my other playthroughs of this game. And let's hire another official, because we need one for that position. You'll do the job very nicely, and you shall get Eye for Talent number 2. The reason that we're getting the guy with Eye for Talent is that he increases everyone else's leader experience gain. It's a very good thing. But yeah, we shall only be going every 15
Technology
years
discovered.
in each episode, and hopefully you'll enjoy this series, and
Technology
I will be
discovered.
able to continue it, because this game is actually quite fun for me. So yeah, I'll see you when we've actually got
Anomaly
something else
detected.
interesting, and we'll start actually building up a major economy on our planets. And we have found some aliens. For some reason, it has defaulted to putting the Discovery in our home system. And oh my goodness gracious God. Okay, RNGesus, I love you to all high and mighty. What have you done, though? You have given me something that is very good later on. To explain this discovery here, that is a megastructure. This, right here. That, we're going to use later on in the game when we have enough resource to rebuild it and get a whole bunch of science from it. And because of how close it is to where we start, just like 3 jumps away, we are guaranteed to get that. That's actually a very good find to see in our first episode. And we did just get the Wandering Forest Migrate event when we are almost done with studying the migrating forests. However, it is not that big of an issue. So yeah, I'll see you all when something else interesting happens. I don't think anything's going to top this discovery, however.
Spaceport under
And
attack.
we have an asteroid sighting. So we're going to send our fleet to destroy this asteroid. If you want to read this thing right here, you can. But
Log updated.
we're just going to use our fleet to
Special
destroy the
project
asteroid.
complete.
And if you want to read this current event right here, it is about the migrating forest on Tartan. If you would like to read it, you can. However, I am going to refrain from reading it and just press the button. We get 2 researchers, which isn't that bad. Sorry, I had to sneeze there. So yeah, we're sending our fleet
Anomaly detected.
we're sending our fleet to destroy the asteroid, and that will likely be the end of today's episode. And you know what? I'm going to read this event for once, because this episode is probably already long enough, and I'm going to be ending it really shortly. Science Officer Toldox reports that Kamenake 3 is covered from pole to pole in a web-like network of electrical filaments. These networks respond to an external stimuli, the PLSC Arid Cux, experimented with sending a low voltage pulse to the surface. which resulted in a wave of illumination that rippled through the network like a circuit board. Even more remarkably, the webs rearranged themselves. A second low-voltage pulse revealed that the filaments had been organized into a new pattern, centered around where the previous pulse had contacted the surface of... I'm not going to try to pronounce that name again. Toldox concludes that this discovery confirms her long-held theory that life can exist as almost purely electrical impulses, independent of cellular or viral... Toldox concludes that this discovery confirms her long-held theory that life can exist as almost purely electrical impulses, independent of cellular or viral structure. Fascinating. Which increases her, her skill level by 1. So, we can now choose a veteranship level. Veterancy, I mean. So, because she would be a very good statistician, aka a very good counselor, I would nominally pick this. However, because we already have another person with the same trait, there is no need to double up with statisticians unless we are going with more researchers on our council, which we aren't. So, what I'm going to do is the Explorer one, which gives her an extra sensor range and allows her to survey things a lot faster and just find a lot more anomalies. And let's go back to watching the pretty lights here. The destroyed asteroid. The asteroid that was approaching Gerald? Yes, Gerald on a collision course has been destroyed. With their doom averted, our jubilant citizens on the planet have taken to the streets in celebration. A scan of the remaining fragments has also revealed that the asteroid consisted largely of valuable minerals. We have collected what we could. Excellent. We shall send our fleet back, and I'm going to... that's not really too big of a deal here. If you would like to read this, you can. However, if you have enjoyed today's start to this new series and new game on the channel, and please do leave a like, comment, that fun snazzy stuff. It helps out the channel, shows that Stellaris is a game that you'd like to see continued into the future. And yeah, if you really like this game, then please do say something, because it's an experiment. And yeah, peace.